Fall of Avalon has been gaining popularity due to being reminiscent of Skyrim. As soon as I heard about this game, being a huge Skyrim fan myself, I looked into it, I watched some gameplay footages, and then I saw it was in early access, therefore it's cheaper than it's going to be when it's on full release. I bought it right away and gave it a try, and man, I really like it. It is really reminiscent of Skyrim. So here is the premise. Fall of Avalon takes the classic Arthurian legend and gives it a dark, really intriguing twist. So I want you to imagine this. King Arthur has to flee from Camelot because of the dreaded Red Death, which is a disease that's spreading all over the land. So he leads his people to Avalon, a land already inhabited by mysterious Four-Dwellers. Four-Dwellers are basically giants who control a strange force called Weirdness, and with Weirdness they can basically form things according to the game out of their will. However, King Arthur manages to conquer them and even dispels the weirdness through the powers of the enigmatic menhirs. Menhirs are basically magical statues that create a force field around the city that prevents weirdness from affecting the people. Supposedly this was created by Merlin himself, but if you dig around in the game, there is some argument that Merlin is lying about creating these. Yeah, there is some drama here. Anyways, after the death of King Arthur, chaos spreads throughout the land, and the Red Death returns, casting his ominous shadow once more. To prevent this, the Order of the Red Priests are relentless in their quest to halt this plague. They will do everything and anything they can, and somehow we have been captured by them, but we might also be the key to Avalon's salvation. That's basically the premise, and the premise itself is really interesting. Now, let's dive into what makes this game so captivating and reminiscent of Skyrim. Let's start with the narrative. The game's storyline is a dark fantasy, weaving a twisted tapestry of Arthurian lore that really keeps me on the edge of my seat. Meaning to say, it really makes me curious. Act 1 and 2 have been really good so far. The game does a really good job of making me curious, which is the best thing a story-driven game can do, really. And the side quests, they're not just fillers, they actually have their own compelling narratives, really entertaining. I've grown fond of characters like Hob, the Cryptic Elder, Drest, a druid who survived, Pordoc, an undead crypt keeper, and the group of refugees. They have like 5 people in there. I like all of them. And I think this is why the game is a bit reminiscent of Skyrim. Not just Skyrim, but good Elder Scroll games. Because the structure of a good Elder Scroll game is that they have a main story, but it also gives you the freedom to explore the game world. And they do that by having all these really good, compelling side quests to do. And along with those side quests, you run into like really likable characters, which is what this game is doing, and I think is one of the main reasons why it is reminiscent of Skyrim. The dialogue is surprisingly good. It is often laced with sarcasm, which for me is really funny. I think it's funny. The game gets a chuckle out of me here and there, which is a testament to the game's writing. It's really good. And combat mechanics. For me, the combat is where the game truly shines. Each strike lands with palpable weight. It feels heavy, it feels damaging, and the enemies don't just absorb the damage, they actually react to your strikes. Unlike Skyrim, where they only react when you charge your attack, here every blow counts. And the flexibility in combat styles is also commendable, which is another reason why I think the game is reminiscent of Skyrim, because you can be a swordsman, a mage, a battle mage, obviously a sneaky archer, a nimble duelist, or a stalwart tanky knight. The game just accommodates for all those styles. Especially for melee, there is a parry mechanic, which is really satisfying. It is kind of janky, but it works most of the time, and it's really rewarding once you learn how to parry. And you have to learn how to parry because the way enemy moves and the way enemies attack, there is a lot of variety, like surprising amount of variety with the enemies. So you have to learn how to parry. And part of my favorite, the critical hits. Oh my goodness, it is really satisfying. The critical hits is not just about inflated numbers, is they actually really deliver like impactful blows. It feels impactful, feels good, like really satisfying. Combat consistently provides you with satisfying moments. I cannot get tired of the combat in this game. I think is where it really shines for me. The next best thing the game has to offer is the art direction. In terms of visuals, the game is hauntingly beautiful. The environments, the creature designs, the loot aesthetics, your weapons, armor, you know, all that goodie. It's really good and it's consistent to the game world. The game manages to create a world where it's simultaneously eerie, mysterious, hopeless, sad, and beautiful. The game manages to do that. Like, doesn't matter how much I speak of it that way, you can see in the footage that it is exactly all of these words at the same time. So the art direction successfully immerses me as a player in the game world, where it actually does feel like hope is gone, but it still manages to be a really beautiful piece of land. Now, audio. As much as I love this game, it has a lot of problems. And to be fair, I am playing on the 0.7 patch, and improvements are anticipated by the full release, which is on the 30th of March, the end of this month. A more glaring issue lies with the human character models. While monster designs are really commendable, the human models look like they're from Oblivion. Like literally, not even Skyrim, they look like they're from Oblivion, both in appearance and animation. The developers are reportedly working on enhancements, but overhauling outdated animations and character models, yeah, that might prove to be extremely difficult, especially because they have a relatively small team and they're releasing at the end of this month. Another issue that I don't see a quick fix for: in-game conversations. Typically in a video game, NPCs greet players, offering a glimpse into their personalities.
Awfully kind of you to visit again. What sort of herbs do you need, young man?
Ooh, first customer of the day. Welcome.
In Fall of Avalon, however, greetings are like a one-time affair. It only happens the first time you talk to them. After that, the interactions with them are just met with silence. Even farewells are not even included. For instance, there is a blacksmith you meet in the main area, and the first thing he greets you with is a dad joke, which for me paints him as a playful and really talkative guy. Yet, after your first interaction, he doesn't greet you. He doesn't say bye. I would really expect this blacksmith to greet me with a random dad joke every time I talk to him, but no, nothing. An exception is a red priest who consistently blesses you with blessings upon you.
Blessings upon you. Blessings upon you. Blessings upon you.
Highlighting the inconsistency, which annoys me even more. Like, they know they should be doing this, but I don't know. They will probably fix this, and hopefully by a full release it's fixed. Now, gameplay wise, the only problem I have with the gameplay is the bonfire and the ethereal cobweb system raises some eyebrows for me. The ability to set up bonfires anywhere for leveling up, resting, cooking, fast traveling, item identification, I will explain this later. It's convenient, but it feels so unbalanced due to the lack of resource requirements for this bonfire, or maybe even penalties for overuse. Kind of diminishes the value of the bonfire. So you identify items by using ethereal cobwebs. It is a resource obtained by defeating enemies affected by the weirdness. Enemies only get affected by weirdness at nighttime. It is a truly intriguing concept. It's such a cool concept. However, the rewards often feel really lackluster because the thing is they also drop this thing called an unidentified item, and you have to use the ethereal cobwebs to identify these items. But most of the time when you do identify these items, it's things like lockpicks or cabbages or leather scrap. But I might have been unlucky because I only identified like 20 to 25 items. Maybe I should go try some more, but that in itself is a problem. Like I shouldn't have to identify like 100 items to get something good. A touch more exclusivity would enhance this experience, in my opinion. For now, it doesn't really feel worth it to identify items, but maybe I just have to try more. Lastly, the game took way too much inspiration from Skyrim. They even copied their long and really frequent loading screens. And to be honest, I've never minded the loading screens that much, but yes, I thought it was a bit funny. In conclusion, despite its current imperfections, Fall of Avalon offers a really entertaining experience. If Skyrim captivated you, this title is bound to do exactly the same. The compelling combat and narrative really overshadow its flaws, especially considering it's 0.7. So gameplay focused gamers will find this game really entertaining. However, if graphics are a big deal for you, you will really find this game really disappointing. But then again, there is a possibility for huge graphical updates, so who knows.